that topic, we can address it from there. So I'm going to go ahead and start the YouTube highlight from right here. We'll go ahead and get this started. I'm just going to go through every one of the tanks and start going over, changes and additions, and then kind of be on a target dummy so you guys can kind of see it in action of like the type of changes and whatnot from each one of the tanks. So yeah, we'll go ahead and get started with that. I'll start out with let's see. Let's start out with my Death Knight. I'll go ahead and move it to Orgrimmar and put it on a target dummy and let you guys kind of see the changes firsthand and things like that. So let me make my way there. I actually have my beta installed on a non-SSD hard drive, so it's takes a little bit longer to load, but nonetheless, the load does occur. All right, so we make our way to Orgrimmar. As far as which tank you guys, I get asked that a lot. What am I going to play and miss? I don't know yet. We'll be able to tell a lot through the raid testing and how things go on there. Okay. If say monks are very, 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 very strong. I mean, a monk would have to be in a pretty like its own level of overpoweredness for me to have to level a monk to play it during the initial wave of content. Probably go with my DK, barring any changes, just based off of what I've seen and know so far. DK looks pretty solid for the most part. Couple things to note about a Death Knight is, what the heck? Okay. Oh, there we go. Took it a bit to load. Alright, so a couple of things that's going to be changing about the Death Knight class is nothing major, but a lot of it is just quality of life changes and a few new abilities. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the talents of each one of these tank classes as I go over it. And I'm going to be speaking about this strictly from a tanking perspective. I'm not going to be able to comment on these from a DPS perspective. Okay, so what's going to happen here is go through each level of talents, and you guys can just kind of see what, and we'll talk about it from a tank POV. I understand my webcam is kind of covering the top left. I can't really move it. That's the way the overlay is made, and I can't move the talent pane. But the one thing that it's covering up is its rolling blood talent, and blood also triggers pestilence. It's basically you can keep your diseases rolling by blood boiling. Not that big of a chance. I mean, it's pretty cool, but whatever. You're going to be going with Unholy Blight as a tank for ads, pretty much 9 times out of 10. This is basically all of these are AOE related and things like that. You can my recommendation would be going with Unholy Blight. 90-second cooldown. It's not it's pretty short CD. You'll be able to have that for AOE packs. Then you start getting into, there's 2 different categories down here, actually 3. There's 3 different major categories that are going to kind of change the way that the DKs are working on beta. Okay. And one of these is at level 57 talent. You're going to get to choose between Lichborn and AMZ. Okay, Lichborn is your, conventional, same thing it does now. Doesn't change. You use runic power to heal yourself with Death Coil, right? Well, that's all cool and dandy, but a lot of the times there was not, there wasn't a place for it or something like that. And you also have the choice of specking into AMZ. Okay. These are the 2 options that you have going for, and AMZ, if you guys want to see it in action real quick, you can target it. It's a targeted icon. It doesn't just go over yourself anymore, and then you can run inside of it or put it on the raid or whatever you need to do. So it gives blood DK a little bit of raid viability as well as other DK. I mean, this is the same. It doesn't matter what spec, you have the same talent tree. So this gives Death Knights a little bit more raid utility than they currently have. And just being able to aim it also increases, the quality of life of the AMZ. But that's not saying that you won't ever use Lichborn. There's a lot of fights where you'll still be using Lichborn. The only time you're really going to be using AMZ is if it's in a fight where there's like a burst magic damage. And good examples of that would be like Heroic Madness when the meteor is hitting. Another good example would be Gunship whenever the large barrages coming down from the big dragon. You know, I mean, stuff that hits in burst. AMZ and say Altraxian, the Hour of Twilight. You keep it, you put it on the raid group. I mean, the thing is, you don't want to use it whenever there's buffet damage going out, because if there's buffet damage happening, you're going to, you know, it's going to basically, you'll pop it and then boom, it's already gone, because, you know, the way it works is it's a total amount of damage that it absorbs, and if it's absorbing that entire amount at one bulk hit, it will mitigate it across everyone. So what I'm trying to get at is, say like you have a 50,000 bolt of damage hitting the raid, right? You know, and let's say MZ only absorbs 50,000 damage. Okay, so if you have the bolt hit, it's going to absorb that off of everybody, even though it would hit every single person. For 50,000, it would absorb that from everybody. Now, if you had a 5K buffet ticking on 25 people, you would drop it, and if it's capped at 50,000, you would drop it, and then it would disappear, just because that's how it works. Okay, so hopefully everybody understands that. It's good in burst magic situations. All right, not things where there's periodic damage ticking and shit like that. You know, I mean, sure, it still helps, but my point is, there's going to be a lot of times where you're using Lichborn over AMZ. All right, and say a fight where it's purely physical, you're gonna want Lichborn. You know what I mean? Say a fight like Morchok, I would pick Lichborn. Say a fight, let's just go through. I mean, just to give you guys examples. Say a fight like Heroic Rag, I would probably actually still stick with Lichborn. You know, I mean, there's not a place on Heroic Rag really where AMZ is going to make or break the fight that the raid needs that type of cooldown. You know what I mean? The only time that you could really make an argument for that would be when the siege are exploding, when the raid is stacked. You could drop it, it absorbed the entire hit by that, or say like, you know, something of that nature. But the Lichborn is going to come into a lot more helpful in physical situations as a tank. All right, moving on from that, don't want to dwell on that too much. I'm just letting you know you have that choice, and it's not a cookie cutter. It's not a cookie cutter decision on which one you're going to have. Okay, next row, Chillblains. This is all movement stuff. You pretty much want to go with Chillblains as a tank. I can't really think of it. There's not many times you're movement impaired in PvE, so it's kind of more of a PvP talent. And this is a 1 minute cooldown that you know, is like it's a buffed Strangulate or something, and I think it's shorter CD than String. Let me see if String is still. Oh yeah, String is still 2 minute cooldowns, and this makes it a 1 minute cooldown. You know, it's just an interrupt deal. You want to go with Chillblains. You already have an interrupt as a tank. Chillblains, anything that's slowed, slowable, you're going to want that obviously. And the way that it works now is you just have to have your Frost Fever active on the target, and it's going to be slowed by 50%. This level 60 talent tree is the largest change for a Death Knight as far as, you know, talents and how these go. You know what I mean? Like, just the biggest, I guess, change involving this is this conversion talent, and we'll get to that. Okay. Now, what this comes down between is you have three different options. Okay, you have Death Siphon. This is more of the DPS one. It deals damage based on, it heals you based on the amount of damage that you do. That's something a DPS Death Knight would pick up. As a tank, you're going to be picking between Conversion and Death Pact. Now they buffed Death Pact. You know, it does 50% healing now instead of the 25. You know, it used to be 40, then they nerfed it to 25. And with this talent, same cooldown, but it's 50%, so it's pretty substantial. And also, just to note, I'm sure you guys saw it on the patch notes that were posted on MMO, but the Raise Dead cooldown was also lowered to 2 minutes, and that actually synergizes really well with Death Pact. So you no longer have Raise Dead on a 3 minute CD followed by Death Pact on a 2 minute CD. You know, so you're like, oh shit, my Raise Dead's still on cooldown, but I can sack my pet. Let me army real quick to sack a ghoul. You know, I mean, that was always kind of a annoying thing to deal with, I guess is the best way to put it. Okay, so let me get to this conversion talent. Alright, the way this works is, this is an ability that can be toggled on and off, and I'll let you see it in action here. We'll just go ahead, get some runic power. You see I'm here on beta. I have to play with the default UI. Okay, so I have, you know, say I have 80 runic power, and the way this works here is you toggle it on, and you can toggle it off. So I'm going to pop in Power Rune Weapon. I'm going to toggle it on, and you see it here, it's taking for 6680, okay? And the thing is, while it sacrifices 10 of your runic power into 3% of your total health the entire time. And then you can toggle it off. You toggle it on and off. There is no cooldown. Okay, and another good thing that synergizes really well with this is you can now AMS the way that you could in Wrath of the Lich King, and allow the AMS to build you runic power through getting hit like you do as Unholy. So what you want to do a lot of the time, I mean, that's you're basically getting, you could cap RP, pop death or pop a conversion. Again, there's no cooldown, so you toggle it on. Okay, I got what I need. I toggle it back off. I don't use all my RP. I say I just needed 2 quick ticks to get me where I needed to be. You know, that's pretty cool. Now, it's an expensive amount. You know, 10 runic power. You can't get 130 runic power as blood anymore. You know, you're stuck at 100. So you're only going to be able, that's more or less an entire runic power bar is only 30% of your HP. However, just the fact that you can toggle it on and off and just add it as a steady self-heal, you know, it may end up being to the point to where blood decays would end up stacking stamina, because stacking stamina is going to add to the viability of conversion, you know what I mean? And then just things like that. Who knows? We'll be able to see through the beta testing, raid testing, and things like that. The main thing that I like about it is you can use it in conjunction with AMS and get more healing out of it. So you could actually get and you can keep building runic power as it's toggled on. Like right now, it's toggled on, and you know, I'm getting runic power and I'm healing myself while I'm still building runic. So it's not like you just turn it on and then you drain yourself. You know, you can keep death striking, heart striking while it's doing that and keep gaining runic. On top of that, you have AMS, so you're going to get probably about the same equivalent out of it as you would a death pact. But the difference is, this does not have a cooldown. This is toggled on, toggled off, and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? So that's a choice you're going to have to make. Death pact will still have its situations where you need that burst healing. 50%, you pop VB, you're almost topping yourself off. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's going to be a pretty huge deal if you have VB active popping Death Pact at this point. So, you know, your VBs increases your effects by 40%, and it's already healing you for 50% of your HP. So that's going to be, you know, like, say if you know you're about to take a huge-ass hit, you don't need the ticks from the conversion. You need the burst healing from the Death Pact. You know, that's something that I would say. Say, like on Madness, I would take Death Pact over conversion on Madness just because of how it works. You know what I mean? Like, if I know the Impale's coming and say the other tank's like dead or something, and you don't want to take an Impale and say, you know, I mean, as a DK it's not really feasible, but you get my point. Like, you don't want to take the Impale and then die to the subsequent melee. You know what I mean? You take the Impale and immediately Death Pact or something like that. So that's going to be fight dependent. More times than not, I'm pretty sure you're going to limit conversion, though. Okay, moving on from there, your next ability, this is all about rune regen. Okay, you have 3 different options for picking how your runes are going to regen. You're going to have Runic Corruption, which functions the same way it does now in Unholy on Live, but that's going to be an option for all specs. So, excuse me. The way that's going to work is, you know, as you Rune Strike, you're going to proc it. As you see, it's procced right here. Rune regeneration increased by 100%, and it stacks. So I'm going to get a lot of runic here, and I'm just going to spam a few death strikes. There's a 45% chance. Okay, so we're just going here, getting some rune strikes. And you can see the buff as it keeps going active. Should be a 45% chance. As always, you're playing the game of RNG, where that's not actually the case. And the thing with this is, it's like, I don't know if it's going to be, you know, I haven't theory crafted yet, and I'm not really the math guy. Somebody will be able to, I'm sure, point out which is going to get you more, you know, runes per minute or things like that. There's going to be times when you have it proc over itself, and there's going to be times when you have it, you know, go several rune strikes without proccing, and then that turns into, you know, a super pain in the ass. I'm pretty sure Runic Corruption is going to be the way to go. The other option, you have Runic Empowerment the same way that it is now. You have a 45% chance to activate a fully depleted rune into a fresh rune, and then the new Blood Tap. There's no more Blood Tap as a Death Knight. The way that this works is every time that you Death Coil, Rune Strike, or Frost Strike, you generate a blood charge. Up to 6 blood charges are gained. Every time that you Blood Tap, it uses 3 of those. Okay, so you're basically saying that you have to, it's a guaranteed extra rune every 3 death strikes, okay? Or, I'm sorry, every 3 rune strikes, death coils, or frost strikes. Whereas These, it's a 45% chance. So you basically look at it a free one out of every 2 instead of out of every 3. However, this one is on demand, which in some places I could see that being very, very appealing to a tank. But something like this, 90% of the time you're going to get extra runes or the procs from these out of every 2, okay? Whereas this one, it's a guaranteed, but it's 3, you know what I mean? So who knows what's going to end up being better. I'm sure it will come out and play over time. I'm just explaining these to you guys because it's new, it's changes, and I'm just letting you guys see them. In game, not just reading them on MMO and things like that. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Runic Corruption. I think it's pretty good. I've had pretty good proc rates with it for the most part. I mean, even though if it's 45%, I'm sure over a greater period of time it's going to be 45%. It's not like you're getting more of a chance to have it proc than you would be, things like that. But just the way that it works, it puts every one of your runes into 100% regen for 3 seconds. And, sorry, sinuses are really kicking up today. Okay, so, yeah, the way that it works is you're going to, if you have all your runes on cooldown, you're just gaining that much more benefit because every one of them has doubled the regen for 3 seconds. And, the more times you get the buff to proc, the better that's going to be. You know what I mean? So, let's see here. I'm just going to do a couple times. Yeah, I mean, you guys see it proc. That's it. And then everything goes on double regen. A couple other things, or level 90 talent. This is, you got an AoE taunt or AoE death grip. You've got Remorseless Winter, which is more AoE damage. And it's actually a stun because what happens is it channels the Remorseless Winter like Lich King ability and Heroic Lich King. Every 1 second for 8 seconds, it reduces enemy movement speed, stacking up to 5 times. Upon receiving the 5th application, enemies will be stunned for 6 seconds. So it's actually an AoE stun for a Death Knight as well as more AoE damage. Okay, so what I'm going to go with, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot of times you need an AoE death grip. Okay, and even if you do, you would probably be better suited with the Remorseless Winter combined with Unholy Blight, because think about it, if you're able to get a D&D down on top of popping, here's the Unholy Blight animation, I'll go ahead and pop it and you'll see the locusts and stuff swarming around me. If you're able to get a D&D, the Unholy Blight, and pop Remorseless Winter, get a Pestilence off, I mean, you might as well have an AoE taunt, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to, no one's going to pull off of that, and not only that, I mean, it's just it's better to have the damage plus the stun and the slow than it is to have the AoE death grip. That's just my opinion. Some fights you may need it, but more times than not, I'm pretty sure you're going to end up going with Remorseless Winter. Okay. Few other things to note about is for a DK is you're going to have Bone Shield changes. It no longer costs an Unholy Rune, so you can have all. Let's go ahead and put all my Unholy Runes on cooldown. Okay. You can still just pop Bone Shield. You don't need the Unholy Rune to make that happen anymore. Okay, so that's a super a very nice quality of life thing. As you see right there, I just had Runic Corruption double proc. So I mean you're basically getting almost a full rune bar out of that, and it's pretty nice. So a couple other things, just going through it. The way Death Coil works, I'm going to see if I can use it on this guy here, just the NPC. What happens when you Death Coil? See, I Death Coil him. He has a shield on him through Death Coil. That's a glyph. It absorbs damage. So it gives DKs a little bit more raid viability, and that's obviously going to increase with attack power and things like that. So just hovering over glyphs is what it does. You basically are able to shield. You're basically able to shield an ally. You know what I mean? So say you see somebody taking a ton of damage. They're low and they don't really have anything, and it's just something nice to be able to do as a tank. You're like, oh shit, that guy needs help. I'll throw a Death Coil on him, and it absorbs damage. You know what I mean? So that's really cool. It doesn't heal them. It puts a shield on them. So there's a large difference. I can see that coming into play a lot during progression and certain things where you need someone to have shields on them. You know what I mean? So say like you have a DPS Death Knight. They could toss a shield on me going into an Impale. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure if they stack. We don't have enough Death Knights on the beta right now to test it. But I will be testing it, and I'll obviously let you guys know. The guy was asking if Bone Shield is still on global. Yes, it's still on global. Let's see. AMZ looks to be off global. AMS is obviously off global. Icebound Fortitude is unchanged. And no, you cannot Death Coil yourself. It's allies only. So if you target yourself, and I'm casting Death Coil, invalid target. So that's kind of shitty. If you could, it's kind of like, defeat the purpose of Lichborn almost. But, we'll see. I mean, it's not a lot to ask a DPS Death Knight to throw a Death Coil, because it's modified by attack power anyway, so you would kind of want their Death Coil over yours, because it's going to be absorbing a lot more. Just going through the talent tree, Veteran of the Third War no longer decreases the amount of your outbreak time. Outbreaks back to 1 minute. Hopefully they change that. If not, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. For the most part, DK changes are, nothing major. You guys will get to see some more of the changes on the other tank classes as I go through the show here. But it's a pretty big deal, you know what I mean? With some of the tank classes, they've had major changes. The Death Knight, just a few quality of life issues, and things like that. So Dancing Rune weapons, same thing, 20% parry while it's active for 12 seconds. Let's see. I'm just going through these, making sure I'm not missing anything. As you all seen, I mean, damage across the board, pretty much, not just from DKs, but from a lot of classes, has gotten the base values reduced. I'm pretty sure that's just because they want to see, a lot less of the huge numbers and get things a little bit more balanced, and just scaling down the weapon damage of the abilities. As long as they scale it down at the beginning, they can always tune it up. They don't, I'm sure they don't want to start it out super high and then trim it down, because, going into an X-Pack, seeing lower numbers from the get-go and seeing those increase is always better than seeing big numbers and then being like, oh, that's too high, and then let's nerf it, and then you have a lot of people bitching. So that's probably, I'm pretty sure that's a reason that you guys are seeing a lot of the weapon damage, percent coefficients, and things like that reduced on the abilities. Okay, so just trimming through here again. Vengeance, same deal. Sin of Blood is baseline. Rune Tap, same thing, 10%. Blood Parasites, it's Bloodworms, same deal. Improved Blood Presence, 20% Rune Regens, and all that. Scarlet Fever, this is applied through Blood Plague, same thing. Will Necropolis, unchanged. Like I said, Vamp Blood, Bone Shield. The Bone Shield, only change in that is it doesn't take an Unholy Rune, so it's an improvement. Your Mastery is Blood Shield again. Okay, so going through the glyphs real quick. You guys just saw the talents. As a tank, there's an option to have an AMS glyph, and this absorbs, instead of just absorbing 75% of the damage dealt up to a cap of 50% of your HP, it absorbs 100% of the damage dealt. So, I mean, it's not like, most of the time when you pop AMS on something, you kind of didn't even feel like it hit you anyway, but now it really actually won't be hitting you. You know what I mean? It's going to absorb the entirety of the damage. So that's a plus. Just going through these here. Blood Boil, same thing. Bone Shield, same thing. Chains of Ice, same thing. The Dancing Rune weapon glyph has been changed. It's doubled the threat gain, but there's actually a penalty at this point, which reduces the amount of parry gain by 5%. So that's a pretty big detracting variable for me. You know what I mean? Like, I was always a fan of the glyph on the pull, but now it's like, do I really want to glyph it and only get 15% parry instead of 20? That's a pretty big deal. We'll have to see how that goes. Dark Sim increases the reduces the cooldown by 30 seconds and increases the duration, so it's basically buffs it both ways. Instead of a 1 minute cooldown, it goes to 30 seconds, and it's active on the target even longer. Your Victory Rush, Death Strike Glyph, yada yada. Your Death and Decay is also a slow, but for the most part you really don't need that because Chillblains is a talent. Death Coil Glyph, we already went over that. Death Grip thing, increased range. As far as just tanking, I'll just scroll through these. Nothing really major that you're going to be using. I could see maybe using switching presences in some situations, not many. And then Vamp Blood. Okay, nothing huge there as far as minor glyphs. You're going to go with Horn of Winter, Blood Tap, and nothing huge. They didn't really add that many fun glyphs to a Death Knight. The only thing for a DPS Death Knight, or some situations maybe for even a tank, is your Death Grip glyph. You can talent that to no longer taunt the target. So you can Death Grip something, and it still stays aggroed on who it was aggroed on. So that's a pretty neat glyph, but there's no real flavor glyphs like they were talking about adding for a Death Knight. So we will we will, we'll see how that plays out. Okay, so that's a Death Knight. We can revisit this, but that's pretty much all the change. Like I said, nothing huge, and Power Rune weapons still the same cooldown, and things like that. So don't think that there's just a lot of small changes. Mainly the AMS, full absorb, and giving runic power. Then the choice between Lichborn and the AMZ, and the runic regeneration choice, as well as the choice between Death Pact and conversion. Okay, so all in all, changes, but nothing that's just like jaw-dropping. Oh my God, I'm gonna have to relearn how to play the class. There's just a lot of nice attributes to what they're doing with the Death Knight. I like the direction of it. We'll see how that goes. At this point, we're gonna go look over Paladin. I'm gonna log on my Paladin real quick. There's actually been a lot of changes to the Paladin so far. And as you guys all know, I play all the tank classes, but I'm not as intimately involved with Paladin, Warrior, and Druid as I am the Death Knight. So, but I'll do my best to go over these. I know at least enough to tell you what's going on, explain the changes and things like that. Right now, I'm just going to make my way to the target dummy and then start going over the Paladin changes for you guys. Paladin was changed more than anything. In my opinion, this is a tank class that got the most changes. So we're going from the tank class that probably got, Warrior and DK both very minor changes, but changes nonetheless. Druid and Paladin got a lot of changes. As far as how the Druid works, it's actually changed quite a bit. And just how all the tanks work, as far as their mitigation, has changed, except the Death Knight. The blood, the Death Knight model was pretty solid as it was. You had a lot of decision making. You had a lot of micromanagement within your rotation as a Blood Death Knight, into how you're going to mitigate your damage. And that's what they kind of wanted to get the other tanks involved with. And as you can see here on the Paladin, your seals are on a stance bar now, so you have to, you don't have to worry about getting those out of your spellbook. All the seals that are optional are on your stances, okay? So we're going to go through real quick and just look at what they've did to the Paladin, okay? So you no longer have divine, and this is as prot only, so don't flip out and be like, oh my God, they took that away from Paladin. This is prot only. I will repeat, because I know that Paladins are usually the emo crew. I'll say something on here, and then there's going to be 3 posts on the, WoW forums about, oh my God, Rig said you guys broke Paladins, you know what I mean? This is prot only, okay? Prot only. Protection Paladin only, okay? We're good? Alright, we're tracking. Alright, so I'm going to go through a list of things that were removed from the prot-only Paladin, okay? You no longer have Divine Plea, okay, which is a super pain in the ass, in my opinion, because it was always nice to pop that Divine Plea and have a full Holy Power bar. It is what it is, whatever, okay? You no longer, this was a really big change to me, and I didn't really understand why they did it, but they did it, and barring me not seeing something, which I've went through time and time again, and I've yet to find it, part of me thinks that they haven't finished developing the Paladin for Mist yet, but, they took away Divine Sack from the whole, Divine Guardian from the Prod Paladin, okay? And, if you guys are familiar with what that did, that was your raid cooldown as a Prod Paladin, okay? So, it's not even, there's no way to talent it really. It's not, let's see, I don't know what they were really going for with that, but, there is no more Divine Guardian. So, if they add it back, that's cool. If not, yeah, we'll see what happens. There is no more Hammer of Wrath as of now. They removed Hammer of Wrath from the Prod Paladin tree. You know what I mean? Or talents. You no longer have an Execute as a Prod Paladin. They removed Exorcism. So like being able to pull from range. Like a lot of times when I would open my Prod Paladin, I would cast Exorcism, throw, pop wings, throw my shield, and then if you got a Sacred Duty proc, pop DP and, get a shield slam off or something like that. So, there was a lot of benefits to having Exorcism, but it's not like a game breaker, so it's not like people are going to foam, by losing What the hell am I? Exorcism. Sorry, lost my train of thought. So yeah, there's no more exorcism. There's no more Holy Shield. But the way that they reworked Holy Shield is if you hover over Shield of the Righteous. Okay, what happens with this is, and there's some buffs that they made to the Paladin as well. So hear me out. Let me finish before you guys start putting people on a noose. Okay, what's happening here is when you hit the shield wall. Holy damage. It blocks the next melee attack against you, guaranteed. Okay, so you guaranteed block the next. So there's no more block capping. So there's guaranteed block on the next melee attack. In addition, it increases the amount your shield blocks for by an additional 25%. So it's a slightly for 6 seconds. Okay, so basically what you're going to end up doing as a prop paladin is you're going to try and keep the buff up from, as you see here, it's the Shield of the Righteous. Okay, it guarantees a block and it increases the amount that you're blocking for 6 seconds. So you're going to want to keep that as active as you possibly can, and it costs 3 holy power to get up or to get active. Okay, and one thing about prot now is you have 5 holy power. Not only that, but you also gain holy power through judging. Okay, so we're going to go over the abilities real quick. Avenger's Shield. The same thing that it does now. Let me see one second here. Actually, it doesn't generate holy power. I was actually still curious about that. Guarded by the Light, that's your stamina gain, non-crit ability, and also it makes your Word of Glory no longer on GCD, and it no longer puts a cooldown on the Word of Glory. So you can Word of Glory yourself, followed by another Word of Glory on yourself. So that's a huge, huge change in the benefit of the Protection Paladin. Will it make up for the raid utility loss by not having DSAC? I don't know. I mean, it's a personal survivability. Yes, it will. Raid utility, that's obviously a hit in that department. Looking at Holy Wrath, that's the same deal. Consecration, same deal. You can actually glyph, while we're talking about consecration, you can actually glyph consecrate to, let me go ahead and do that. Or wait, maybe I already did. I'm in combat. Hang on 1 second. Sorry, my dog is like going crazy. I'm going to go ahead and try and drop combat here. Probably have to wait. I had to wait for the censure dot to fall off probably. You can aim your consecrate. Okay, so we're going to do this real quick. I'm going to see how this works. Okay, so I actually just talented this for the first time. You can aim your consecrate just like that. I mean, you see how that works. It's like a D&D for a paladin. Alright, so that's pretty cool. Excuse me. Shield of the Righteous, like I said, they kind of morphed Holy Shield inside of that, so that's pretty cool. Sanctuary, that's your tank buff stuff. Grand Crusader, you have a 20% chance to proc Grand Crusader. It's the same way that it is now. When that procs and you throw a shield, you get a holy power. Procs a free shield throw. Ardent Defender, that's a same cooldown, does the same thing it does now. And let's see here. I've got that's weird. Hang on. Divine Guardian, it should say like 54. I'm not sure what's actually changing this value, because it actually was just when I hovered over it there for a second, it was at 90-something%. So that's interesting. There's obviously something that's modifying that. Maybe I know what it was. I think my Soul Shifter Vortex procced and doubled my mastery. So that's what that was. And remember, all these ratings will be going down drastically as you level and things like that. So you won't be block capped. You see the base amounts are like right around 50%. That's with a lot of mastery. So that's a quick look at the Paladin talents or Paladin tree. We go through the talents real quick. Your top tier is just movement. I picked the Guarded by the Light. You can judge and then get a mini sprint going on. You can pick Speed of Light, which is a 1 minute cooldown that gives you a 70% increase for 8 seconds. Or you can pick Pursuit of Justice, and you basically have a static 10% movement speed gain. And then the more holy power you get, the more, it's an additional 10% up to 3. Okay, so I'm guessing that caps at 40%. I like the sprint just because I would kind of want it on demand, maybe more times than once a minute, so that's why I didn't spec Speed of Light. I'm pretty sure that'll be a pretty common tank choice. The next tier is you have to talent a CC. Okay, so this is just a CC tree. Fist of Justice is just like your Hammer of Justice. It's your stun. Nothing different there. Repentance, you have to talent that if you want it, or Burden of Guilt. Blah blah blah. It's just movement reducing talent. This next tree, this is something tank related. Okay, what is looking at here is you have to choose between Selfless Healer. What this does is successful judgments reduce the cast time of your Flash of Light by 50%, stacks up to 2. So obviously you can make it instant after you judge twice. So every 2 judgments you can Flash of Light yourself for free. Okay. The other options are Eternal Flame, consumes 3 holy power to put a holy flame on a friendly target, which heals them. It basically puts a hot on the target. All right, that's probably more of a healer talent than a tank talent. I'm sure there may be some situations where you may want it as a tank, but the one that I'd probably be going with is Holy Shield. Okay, and or I'm sorry, Sacred Shield. So the way this is going to work, you see here, I'm going to put Sacred Shield on myself. Okay, what it's doing is the same thing that it used to do. It's a 30-second buff. It absorbs damage, but the key part to this is it increases your crit of your Word of Glory by 30%. So it's going to be a pretty baseline talent for a prop paladin, just because of how often you're going to be Word of Glorying yourself. And I mean, sure, you can pick up something else and have someone else keep Sacred Shield on you and get the Selfless Healer talent and rely on someone else to keep up Sacred Shield, but it being on a 30-second cooldown and things like that, I would highly recommend, or not, it doesn't have a cooldown, but the buff is only active for 30 seconds. I guess that's a better way of putting it, okay? I would recommend having you pick up Sacred Shield and keep it on yourself. Selfless Healer is your other option. Moving down from that, you have the next tree of stuff. You have a 5-minute cooldown that immediately reduces, like Cold Snap or something. It reduces the cooldown of your Hand of Freedom, Hand of Protection, all the hands. Hand of Sacrifice, Hand of Salve. Say you need to double salve someone, it's a 5-minute cooldown. I see very few situations where that's going to happen. You can talent that. I'm probably going to be sticking with Unbreakable Spirit. What this does is whenever you Divine Shield, Divine Protection, or Lay on Hand, whenever any of them are on cooldown, so let's see here. Let's Div Prot myself. Okay, so that's on cooldown. So what's happening here is it's 1-minute cooldown, and every time that you, let's see, spending Holy Power will reduce your remaining cooldown by 1% per maximum of Holy Power spent. So basically, as Prop Paladin, you have 5 Holy Power now, not just 3. Okay, so every time that you use 5 Holy Power, you're taking 5 seconds off of your cooldown. So you could actually, be working your ass off and get your Lay on Hands. It removes time from your Lay on Hands, your Divine Shield, your Div Prot, and all that. It removes all those as you spend Holy Power. 1% per Holy Power to a maximum of 50%. So, I mean, it's nothing game-breaking, but it helps out because it lowers your cooldown. Okay, Hand of Purity. Let's see. Yeah, that's reduces the damage on other people. That's something you would use for raid utility. It's only on a single target. The next one, you have Divine Purpose. This is basically it. You have a 15% chance after you use Holy Power to not use the Holy Power, and if it procs, you can just reuse it. You know what I mean? So it's like you use the Holy Power, and you have a 15% chance that it doesn't use it, and you can use it again back to back. So say you Word of Glory yourself with 3 Holy Power, you have 15% chance to proc Divine Purpose, which basically made that free, and then you can just recast it. You know what I mean? Recast Word of Glory, or even use it on a Shield Slam. Sanctified Wrath. This basically buffs your Paladin whenever you have Wings active. Whenever you have Wings active, it does different things from different specs. When you're Holy Shock has no cooldown. When you're Protection, your Judgment has no cooldown, which is pretty cool because you can just chain generate Holy Power. But that's only once every 2 minutes. I can see this being an option. I was just kind of playing around with Divine Purpose. I don't know which one I'll be going with. The Sanctified Wrath talent looks really well because, again, you get Holy Power from judging, okay? And you can pop that once every 2 minutes, and it's active for, Wings active for 20 seconds. So, that's active for, 1/3, or, 1/6, 1/6 uptime. So, it's a pretty substantial amount. Just probably would depend on the fight. If there was fights where the timing lined up where you would need it, only once every 2 minutes, Sanctified Wrath would be better than Divine Purpose. You know what I mean? So, let's see. Holy Avenger, this is another cool one. 2-minute cooldown. Anything that you do that generates holy power generates 1 holy power would generate 3 holy power for 20 seconds. Okay? So, basically, you could judge, get 3 holy power, wog. Judge, 3 holy power, wog. So it's kind of the same thing to an extent as a Sanctified Wrath, which just lets you chain judge with getting 1 cooldown each, whereas this one, you basically have to look at it, they're both on a 2-minute cooldown, because this one's tied into your wings at 2 minutes, and this is an actual talent tied into a 2-minute deal. You know what I mean? So you could actually pop this and then judge 3-point word of glory, judge 3-point word of glory, judge 3-point word of, I mean, you get this. It probably actually would be better in some situations. Okay, for a tank. So those are all pretty cool. You get choices. That's kind of awesome. And then the level 90 thing for a paladin, execution sentence. It's the same thing in Atramedes' room. The mob that does the hammer falling from the sky, things like that. Light's hammer. It basically does AoE damage. It throws a hammer on the ground. It does a 10-yard area with magic damage, and it heals allies. So, I mean, you get a little bit of a heal on a 1-minute cooldown. That's probably not going to be that big of a deal as Holy, more so than that. And then Holy Prism. It's another heal ability. So, you know, just getting back to what I was saying about the Prop Paladin, the changes that they've made. They removed Divine Plea. They removed Divine Guardian. They removed Hammer of Wrath. They removed Exorcism. They removed Holy Shield. Another really shitty part about what they did to a Paladin is they removed your Trip Taunt. You no longer have the ability to cast your Trip Taunt. Your ability that, you know, it taunts up to 3 mobs off of your target. That's no longer in the game. So you only have 1 taunt, and that's your targeted taunt. I'm sure that'll probably get changed, but you know, we'll see how that goes. Another thing there's no more Inquisition as prot, and obviously, you know, there's no more auras. So, you know, removing the aura from the prop paladin kind of decreases a little bit of raid viability, as well as you know, removing Divine Guardian from the prop paladin. That decreases the raid viability even more. But personally, they actually gain buffs. You know what I mean? The Word of Glory not being on cooldown is huge. You know what I mean? You can chain Word of Glory yourself with no repercussions of getting a 30% debuff. Okay? So that's that. Just skim through the glyphs real quick on a Paladin. While Avenging Wrath is active, you're healed for 2% of your maximum health every 4 seconds. So it's 2% every 4 seconds. It's active for 20, so you get 5 ticks. So that's actually, I mean, while it's active, you're healing yourself for, what, 10%? Not a huge deal, but it's still a heal nonetheless. I was just messing around with it. We'll go ahead and pop it here and see how much it's actually healing me for. Okay, like 5k. I wish I got a Volunteer on, so it's a little bit lower than what it would be if I had my full gear on. Let's see, Hammer of the Righteous, your physical now lasts 50% longer. So whenever you cast Hammer on the target, as you can see here, your debuff is up for... One sec. Let me see. I wonder if you can reapply it. Okay, yeah, it's up for 30 seconds. So that is... I'm not sure what it would be baseline, but that's what applies to your Demo Shout. Let's see. You have a minor glyph here. Your Judgment and Hammer of Wrath criticals call fire down from the sky. So a judge, I'd have to sit here until I got a crit, and you know, it's just a flavor glyph. Your Paladin class mounts glow with Holy Light. Let's check that out, just because we can. Let's see. I haven't actually checked this out yet. Oh, I've got a little glow around me, as you guys can see. It's very minor, but there's a slight glow surrounding my horse. Alright, so yeah, no game-breaking glyph in that department. The biggest thing is you can aim to consecrate. The one guy was asking the cooldown. The cooldown is 9 seconds now. That's correct. Just going through these, I mean, from what I looked at, there's no super huge changes to the Paladin glyphs, or, you know, like, yeah, they removed the Word of Glory buff glyph that made it heal for more. They removed that. That's about it, okay? So, let's see. Does anybody have questions about the Paladin or Death Knight? Let me go ahead and scroll through the chat here and see if you guys have any questions about what's going on. The guy's asking about the icon. Shift 5 is Sacred Shield. My bubble is actually over here. That's your bubble icon. Okay. It looks like Bubble's got a little bit new of animation, actually, so that's pretty cool. It's the first time I've used it, so you guys get to see it. Alright, there's Bubble. Cool little animation. Looking at some other stuff. Let's see. No Divine Guardian. Yes, that's correct. Does the new Shield of Righteous have a proc or something? Keeps lighting up. I think no. The thing with Shield of Righteous, you cannot use it. The guy's asking what it lights up. You cannot use it until you have 3 holy power. So basically, when you get 3 holy power, it lights up and lets you know that you can use it. So that's when you can only use it with 3 holy power now. There's no more 1-point shield slam, 2-point, 4-point, 5-point. You know, there's five holy power for a prop paladin now. So we're gonna look at passive here just to show you these. You have, where is it? One sec. I will be able to show you. Okay, yeah, you have improved judgment, protection, judgment grants holy power, and then where is the other one? The hell was it? I forgot what I was even talking. I forgot what I was even looking in there about. Oh, the 5 holy power thing. Hang on one second. Let me find that. There is a 5 holy power talent in here for yep. I don't want to spend too much time looking for it. I can just promise you it there, and you have 5 holy power because of it. Okay, so just have to take my word on it. It is a talent that I can't seem to find right now. But, yeah, there you have 5 holy power. I'm not sure if that's prot only, to be honest with you. I haven't messed around with, I have yet to mess around with the other specs, because I don't really deal with that. But, yeah. Let's see. This guy's saying first page. Let's take a look. Ah, boom. Balanced Conviction. He got it. Okay, I think that's Spazzo. He plays a prop pally. You're able to store an additional 2 holy power beyond the maximum of 3. No ability ever consumes more than 3 holy power. So that's the talent I was looking for there. Hopefully that answers that question for you. Let's see. Trying to get all these. Holy shit, you guys have a lot of questions. Let me catch up here real quick before you guys post any more. Divine Guardian was bad anyway. No, not really. It was a really good raid cooldown. Warriors don't have shit in their tree like this. It's not actually true. Warriors have got a lot of changes made to them as well. Are you sure Wings is 2 minutes? I think it's 3 for Prot. No, it's 2 minutes. Oh, whoa, you got me. I thought it was 2 minutes. It is 3 minutes. The guy caught me there, so that's bad info. I said 2 minutes. The guy actually corrected me. It is 3 minutes. I was pretty sure it was 2 for some reason. I guess I'm just losing my mind. So yeah, it's a 3-minute cooldown. Keep that in mind whenever you're looking at the talents and deciding what you want to do. So good catch there by Govito19. Thanks for catching that. Let's see here, trying to find presume the armor aura altogether gone as they got rid of shaman totems. I would assume so as well because there's no more Devo and there's no more stone skin, so it's going to be one less thing to monitor. Do you feel that Paladins have been nerfed a lot from what they would, or they'd still be balanced? I think that they actually did nerf the Paladin raid utility, but they actually buffed their personal viability. I think that the way that it is, I mean, no tank's really block capping, so by saying that they can't block cap. That's not a nerf because no one's able to block cap. But, the Word of Glory without cooldown on themselves, as well as Sacred Shield and some of the other talents, it makes the Paladin the single actual class a lot stronger, but they took away a lot of the, raid utility for the prop Paladin, meaning the DSAC. I mean, the DSAC was a really big deal, you know what I mean? And that lighting up right there, maybe that's what that guy was talking about. That's the Divine Purpose proc, that, it's 15% chance to not use anything. So, we'll have to see how it plays out. Not having Trip Taunt, not having DSAC, and things like that, that puts a hit on the raid utility of the class only. Let's see. The guys asking about DK changes. I went over Death Knight before I did this. If you guys, I upload this to YouTube as I do all the shows. You guys make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you can actually go back to the. You can actually go back and watch and see what I did. I went over a quick overview of the Death Knight as well. Do I see Paladins being viable? Yes, I do. Do you think my main will be in Miss? I literally have no idea. I'll be able to answer that for you after raid testing. Have stat priorities changed on Death Knight and Pally? I'm not sure. I'm sure Mastery is still going to be strong just because of how it works. Mastery is going to increase your block as a Paladin. I'm pretty sure that's going to outweigh stamina. And the same thing with a DK, it's going to increase the amount absorbed. But the way the DK is kind of scaling, the abilities may end up being better with a full stam build. You know what I mean? Like with how conversion works, AMS being capped like fully now. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Let's see. Can you go spec into Boundless Conviction? I don't think that's a spec. I think that's like baseline, man. If that's what you're asking. It's where is it? It's in your spell book as a passive. So I'm pretty sure you don't spec into that. I think it just comes when you pick Prot. One cool thing about the racials, if anybody plays Horde and they want to play a Blood Elf or whatever, as Horde, your main two options as a tank are Tauren and Tauren. I mean, like, that's your main two options. One good thing about Blood Elf is the way that these resistance things changed. Instead of giving you resistance, it actually reduces damage taken. It's nothing game breaking, it's just 1%, but I thought that was a pretty neat little change. Does a Paladin go as good raid tank, or like in this content, he will suck with Conqueration DK? I'm not even sure what that means, man. I think you mean, is a Paladin a viable tank? Yes, a Paladin's a viable tank. At the end of the day, tanks, it all comes down to who's playing the character. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be able to play the class, and some classes are stronger than others in some regard, but at the end of the day, it just comes down to who's playing it, the decisions they're making while they're playing it, and very few times is it, this tank cannot do this. You know what I mean? Like, you could say, like, well, Death Knight's the best for Impales. I mean, you kind of want to go with that, but you can't, I don't want people to confuse it with me saying that, like, it's, you can only use a Death Knight to tank Impales. You can only use a Warrior to kite Bloods on Spine. You can only use, there's very few times where it actually comes down to that. And some of those few times would take Major Domo, for example. When Ardent Defender, you can milk an extra Scythe out of Major Domo with Ardent Defender. Something like that, yes, that's a pretty big deal. You know what I mean? Like, where it's to the point where it's like, you can ignore mechanics of the encounter by having an ability on one class. That's stuff that I hope that they fix and don't allow in the game. And then more times than not, it just comes down to the player behind the class. You're not going to have everybody that's going to have one of every tank class, all 5 of them ready to go, whatever's best for the fight, hop on that one. You know what I mean? Even me, I have one of every tank class, but I'm better at playing my Death Knight than I'm better at playing the other one. I'm so good at playing the other ones, but I'm best at playing my Death Knight. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just comes down, would you rather get on a character that you're a little bit worse playing, but is better suited for the fight? I mean, there's no definitive answer, if that makes sense, okay? It's going to ask if you're sitting at 5 holy power, you can shield or wall against CS and do another 3 holy power. Everything uses 3 regardless. That's correct. The extra 2 is to speed up your rotation. That is correct. The skill on 2 is my Holy Wrath. That is correct. This is my Holy Wrath. So I gotta get to see it go on there. Let's see. No, what the guy's saying is he's confused. It's like you're using 3 every time, so why do you need more than 3? I think that's what he's saying. I mean, it does still speed up your rotation, and a lot of times when you're playing a Paladin, you're like, oh, I don't need to Word of Glory right now. I need to Word of Glory in 5 seconds. I need to wait on this instead of dumping 3 and then waiting. There's a lot of times where that extra 2 is going to buy you the cushion, either positive or negative. It's still going to affect you. So, like, say I know I'm about to take an Impale in 5 seconds. I've got 3 holy power. I could sit on this Word of Glory and do nothing with my thumb up my ass, or I could, shield slam and then get another quick judgment off and then get a max point Word of Glory. It just changes the flow of how things work. So if any of you guys are confused on what benefit the extra 2 holy power does, it just gives a lot more flexibility to what you've got going on, and it kind of allows you to pull it in some situations, or just, spin procs. Like say you hit a judgment and you want to, okay, let me see what I'm getting at. Say you want to, say you need to judge for a speed burst, and you're at 3 holy power, right? You don't really want to shield slam yet, you know what I mean? Say you've got to use another ability, you can do that, and it still doesn't get wasted. Instead of that extra holy power just getting, in the current system, it's wasted. So that helps a ton. Far right on the first tier. Yeah, I mean, it could be viable. I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure. Trying to catch up here. All taunts lost AoE taunt, so it isn't a huge loss to Paladins. Yes and no, that's actually not the truth. You can a lot of the tanks got talented an AoE taunt, so it is a loss to the Paladin, and not to mention that, you can make an argument that a Death Knight still has 2 taunts as well as able to talent a 3rd AoE taunt. You have taunt, you have Death Grip. I just don't see the reason why they took the Righteous Defense shit out of the game, or I don't know. Maybe they'll add it back. I just don't see what they're gaining by removing it, to be honest with you. Let's see. Trying to catch up on questions here. Will I be taking on a Brewmaster as well? Yes, I will be. Probably going to end up, because I've been so busy with the stream rating and things like that. I don't have a ton of time to level on beta, but we'll see how that goes. Let's see. And yeah, like Ratana pointed out, it also helps when you're fishing for... actually, is Sacred Duty even in here? I didn't even check. Yeah, I don't think there is Sacred Duty anymore. That guarantees your... there's no more guaranteed crit on your shield slam. Pretty sure. Could be wrong, but yeah. And people are asking about the denounce thing. That's a holy tree. I mean, you can look at these things change depending on your spec, like what you got going on. Not sure why the prot tree is so short. There's like 10 abilities in here. It's kind of the same. Red's even got 12, and then Holy's got like 1 million. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're still going to be tweaking prop paladins a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, so what's going on here is I actually spent a lot of time going over these 2 classes. I mean, we may just start having to alter the daily show schedule. I know today was supposed to be the regular discussion. We actually didn't even get involved with that. I didn't think this was going to take quite that long, but we ended up talking about Death Knights and Paladins for well over an hour, or right around an hour now. So what I'm going to do here, obviously you guys know it's Tuesday. It's main raid night, so we have to make sure that happens. What's going to happen is tomorrow's going to be tank Q&A. What I'll make a deal with you here is I will go over the Druid and the Warrior changes tomorrow as in-depth as I have with these, and then we'll also do a few tank armory audits. Yeah, you guys know the deal. As long as we're able to keep the 500 consistent viewers, we will be, be giving away a T-shirt. So I've got a list of T-shirts, not a list. I've actually got a box of T-shirts, the generic ones. It's nothing personalized and things like that, but you guys see them here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a list. You have to be a follower on the channel. So you guys do me a favor and hit follow on the channel. Top left, hit the follow button. And if you also want to, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take it from my YouTube channel. I'm going to go to my YouTube subscribers. Okay, I'm going to go to my YouTube subscribers and then pick a person off of this to give away the T-shirt to. So you guys get to know on the stream to go click subscribe on my YouTube, and then we'll pick a random person out of this list and go from there. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll roll out of, let's see, I've got 11 pages, so I'll roll out of 11, and then after I get to the page that I pick, I'll roll within, let's see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 40 people on each page. I have 11 pages, okay? Actually, let me make sure that it stops at 11. So it's going to be, I'm going to pick someone from my YouTube follower channel, and we'll go from there, okay? And we'll give away this T-shirt. I'm trying to make sure that I get it correct. Okay, let's see here. Oh shit. Subscribers. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna refresh one more time. We'll see what we're at. Control F5. Let's go from here. Listen to these people. You guys are bitching about me giving away free shirts. If you don't want to subscribe to me on YouTube to get a free shirt, you can leave the stream. It's pretty simple. I'm not a mean dude. I'm a pretty cool guy. I take my time to go over this stuff in depth for you guys. And if you want to bitch about me asking you to subscribe to my YouTube channel to win a free shirt that says Blood Legion, which is a stream that you're watching, you can go fuck yourself. You know, I mean, I have no problem banning people. I'm not really in the mood to deal with people bitching about getting free stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and go full screen with this, and we'll make this happen. This giveaway. Let's see, we got 645. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. This goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I go 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. Okay, so actually this, I think this is all the subscribers on one fucking page here. One sec. I'm not a mathlete. So we have 53 rows. Times 4 each. Actually, no, that's not. So this is actually channel based. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to hit refresh one more time, and then we're going to pick the page that we're going to go on, and then do it from there. All right? Done deal. Okay. All right. So let's look at the page number to give away this T-shirt. We have maximum number of pages. Let me make sure I don't miss anybody. Okay, so it's 17 pages. 17. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this open in game. Alright, so we're going to roll 1 out of 17. And then we're going to go to the page. And then we're going to roll within the page to see who's winning the shirt. Roll 1 out of 17. It's page 15. So we're going to be on page 15. So it's right here. Let's go to page 15. And then we're going to roll 1 out of 40. I don't really care where you guys live. If you don't live in the U.S., you may just have to hit me up with a shipping cost. I'll just, because what's going to happen when you win the shirt, I'll send you a PM on Twitch here that's just like, hey man, congrats on winning the shirt, thanks for watching the stream, send me your address and what size t-shirt you want. And, you know, if you don't live in the U.S., that's cool. You know, if you live in, you know, somewhere it's going to cost me $25 to ship it to, I'll just be like, hey man, here's your shirt for free, just cover the shipping. You know what I mean? So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. I will roll now out of 1, 2, let me make sure my math is correct. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 22 times 4. Let's go here. And then we got to add, my dog's going crazy. 22 times 4 plus 3. You're at 91. So I got to roll out of 91 for this page. Okay, and then that's going to be the person that wins. Roll 1 out of 91. Boom, 51. The winner is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 49, 50. Wait, what did I say I rolled? That's okay, so it's Suttles 979. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and PM this guy here. Send him a message. Actually, just send message. Here we go. Hey, BL T-shirt winner. Message me back on here with a size, address, and any other info you want or you need to give me to get me to mail out the shirt. Okay, so boom, there we go. Send message, done deal. There's another shirt giveaway, and that's the second one in. Okay, boom, message is sent. Okay, so it's the second one this week that we've got going on. If you guys are, again, you're new here, we give away these t-shirts not all the time, but enough time where you guys need to kind of be checking in over and over to find out when they're going. So the new website's going to be coming out hopefully sooner than later. We'll have merchandise like BL stuff, t-shirts, posters, lanyards, whatever you want, hoodies. I don't really know what you guys are into, but we'll have a lot of different options for you guys on the website. Okay, so all in all, ran a little over today. This will be uploaded on YouTube, every bit of it. And yes, we will be streaming the raid in less than an hour. So you guys make sure to, hop on and watch the stream tonight. We do multiple 8 out of 8 Dragon Soul clears. You guys will get to see me raid on a Death Knight, a Druid, and maybe even a Paladin. We'll see how that goes. So thanks again for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to go chill out a little bit before the raid and run a couple of commercials. So you guys do me a favor and just watch a few of the commercials, and then we'll get it going. Tomorrow, you guys make sure you're online at 5 p.m., and we'll be going over the Warrior and the Druid changes as well. Okay? So thanks again for watching, and hang out for the raid. Starts in less than an hour. Good talk.